International trade. What is international trade? It's exports and imports. The sales of goods and services to other countries and the purchases of goods and services from other countries. Why do countries trade? Let's watch this short 2-minute video.
Countries engage in international trade based on the logical saying of no man is an island. Countries trade to benefit from interacting with other countries. Countries in isolation have to contend with being self-sufficient and having a lesser variety of goods. With international exchanges of goods and services, countries get to enjoy a wider variety of goods that may offer better quality. Besides that, the key reason for trade is that by trading goods, countries can afford to specialize in producing only some items that they're relatively better at producing. Trade means each country does not need to produce everything, but just focus its scarce resources on what it produces more efficiently, or what it has a comparative advantage in. The country hence focuses all its resources in what it's best at producing, mass producing for the whole world, and exchanging these for what it's not so great at producing. On a global scale, this means that the world becomes a global production hub, with each country specializing in producing what it's best at. The world's scarce resources are hence put to their best use for all our wants, allowing more to be produced and hence consumed globally. This is the main advantage of trade that is spelt out in the law of comparative advantage. Plus, with mass production, there are cost savings as firms benefit from bulk purchases and specialized manpower, or known as economies of scale. So international trade really is a big step forward for the world in increasing its efficiency. That's why we have countries signing trade deals to foster more cross-border transactions that tap on each other's resources.
So what can we conclude? International trade increases if all trading partners benefit from it. That is, after specialization. Free trade agreements promote trade. That is, they promote exports and imports. As countries specialize in trade, their productivity improves due to more competition. However, trade may be restricted by government policies. For example, a tariff. That is a tax imposed on imports, which makes imports more expensive. A higher tariff reduces imports. A lower tariff increases imports. Another restriction is a quota. That's a limit on the quantity of a good that may be imported. For example, the United States imposes quotas on sugar imported from Central American countries. Lower quota then reduces imports. Higher quota increases imports. Another factor that influences trade is the currency exchange rate. For example, $1 exchanges for 23 Mexican pesos. Two important things before we continue. American exports to Mexico are Mexican imports from the United States. Two sides of the same transaction, the sales and the purchase. American imports from Mexico are Mexican exports to the United States. Again, the two sides. A dollar depreciation is a peso appreciation. A dollar appreciation is a peso depreciation. Let's look at this last case. Suppose the dollar depreciates in value. Let's look at this example. The initial rate is $1 exchanges for 23 pesos. And the new rate is $1 exchanges for 20 pesos. Clearly, the dollar now gets less pesos, which means the dollar has depreciated in value. From the point of view of Mexico, they spent 23 pesos to obtain a dollar. Now they only spend 20 pesos to obtain the same dollar. So that means the peso has appreciated in value. Again, a dollar depreciation is equivalent to a peso appreciation. A dollar depreciation makes the dollar cheaper. That makes U.S. products cheaper too. A peso appreciation makes the peso more expensive, which makes the Mexican products more expensive too. Cheaper dollars and cheaper American goods increase Mexican imports from the United States because the goods and services from the United States are cheaper, which also means American exports to Mexico increase. More expensive pesos and more expensive Mexican products reduce American imports of Mexican products. This implies a reduction in Mexican exports to the United States. Again, the two sides of the same transaction. Case 2. The dollar appreciates in value or strengthens. The initial rate, again, is $1 exchanging for 23 pesos. But now the new rate is $1 exchanges for 25 pesos. Notice the dollar now gets more pesos. So that is an appreciation of the dollar. From the point of view of Mexicans, they use 23 pesos to get $1 first, but now they have to use 25 pesos to get the same dollar. So their currency has depreciated in value. A dollar appreciation is equivalent to a peso depreciation. More expensive dollars and more expensive American goods decrease Mexican imports from the United States, which also means American exports to Mexico decrease. Again, the two sides of the same transaction. Cheaper pesos and cheaper Mexican products increase American imports of Mexican products. This implies an increase in Mexican exports to the United States. And again, the two sides of the same transaction.